Oi, this episode from our podcast Navigating Life is a little bit off the cuff because me and my friend Teddy, who's a fellow liveaboard, we got talking. And at some point I was forgetting to record. So Teddy, she wanted to have us for her website bootleven, where she shares more stories of people who decided to have a boat. And she wanted to ask a couple of questions about our life aboard. How did we start? How did we get to the dream of having a bed and breakfast on the boat? How is it with the teamwork when we are sailing? So all boat related. And this is our unfiltered conversation between the two of us for our website, which I turned into a question and answer episode for our podcast. Enjoy! A little bit boat life.
Yeah.
But to get our first boat, that was 5 years ago, so 15 years apart.
Yeah.
And Iggy, he has always wanted to live on a boat. He has
Yeah.
always, because he always been on the water.
Was in his blood.
Yes, definitely. It was
Yeah.
calling him, like, come to the water. You have to be on the
Yeah.
water. And so he was always saying, I want to live on a boat. And I was always very hesitant about it. It was like,
Yeah.
no,
I
I don't know,
understand.
let's buy a house. So we bought a house and we lived there for 7 years. But that feeling of the houseboat like floating on the water,
Yeah.
that's what I missed the most on the house. And it was so hard to get accustomed to it because it's like, oh, now I have neighbors and I have a road in
It's
front.
different.
I
Yeah.
can't jump in the water right away like we did on the houseboat. So that's what we missed. And from there, the idea of living on the water started growing again. And what sparkled for me personally to change my mind was when I took this job as a stewardess on a tall ship to go
Oh,
from
nice.
Norway to Svalbard all the way to the
Oh,
North
so
Pole.
cool.
It was really cool. And when I saw the job offer, I was like, oh, I
I
don't know
have
about
this.
this, living on a boat and the tall ship, am I going to get seasick? I had no idea. Um, so I took it because it was like polar bears. I mean, of course I'm gonna go and
Yeah.
see that.
Yeah.
And I did that, and it was such a beautiful experience to wake up in the morning, open your portal, and see the water and a different
Yeah.
view every morning that I really felt like, wow, like nature is so beautiful, and I wish I could have this every day. So
Yeah.
when I came back, it was really that feeling of, I really miss being on the water. I really loved it, and that's when the idea changed my mind. And when COVID came, that you needed to be all isolated, it was like we were in the house much more often for like
Yeah.
2 months without doing anything. And we really questioned ourselves like, is this
Is this
the life that we are
yeah.
happy with? And we're not happy with it. We're happy with the house. It was a nice house by the
Yeah.
water as well. But it was really a question that changed everything for us that, okay, we're not happy with it. What can we do about it? Are we going to get a houseboat? But then the houseboat doesn't have an engine that you can just choose where you're gonna
Yeah.
go. So of course
You're
the
still
boat.
stuck in one place. Yeah.
So that's when the boat idea came up. Like, okay, we can do this, and that's when we got the boat. That was 5 years ago in 2020.
Yeah.
Almost to the date. It's now April 2020, and yeah,
That's
that's
almost,
how we
yeah.
started. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. I think that year of like the COVID thing that changed a lot of people, like
Wow.
about thinking about life, like rethinking about life. Like, what do I want? Is this the life I want? Because we were all like stuck in isolation.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and lockdown. So I'm like, yeah. But I think that's beautiful because then you were really like, okay, what makes us happy? We really want to be on the boat. And I also think it's the feeling, what you say, it's like opening your portal, seeing the nature, like feeling life like almost like a freedom, like a feeling of freedom, like being on the water, close to nature. You see
Yes.
it changes during like the seasons. You're really more. I think I have that as well. Like you can see, like, oh look, the leaves on the trees are coming again, or oh look, those birds are like making love again. Like
Exactly.
you can see
You're
those things
more
more evolved, more
more in contact with nature. Yeah,
more
you
contact.
definitely feel as well, like in a normal house. of course, when it's cold in the winter and when it's
Yeah.
warm outside, but in a boat, you really can tell when the wind changes and
Yes,
okay, the wind
exactly.
is going to change. So the
Yeah, when
weather
the
is
wind's
also
picking
going to
up,
change.
and I don't know, you're more in the moment. And I
Yeah.
think when you're like stepped out of it, like out of the whole like the normal life, like in your house and doing your job and everything like that. Like if you stepped out of it just and you're like us, like on the boat, it's really hard to get back into that again
Oh,
because now
yeah.
you're seeing yeah, things from a different kind of perspective. And you're more in your like your bubble. And I don't know, it's really, I think it's really hard sometimes. I'm like, oh, that's I don't want to live that life anymore,
Yeah.
like being
I
that
felt like,
busy like the whole time on the land, and you have like you go to this and that, and then you have weekend, and the weekends are full with just social things, and I don't know, it's different.
yeah, because you're more in society, right? You're more
Yeah,
surrounded by people all the time. Your neighbors, your family, they know where you live, so they know, oh, I'm just gonna pass by, and it's really nice, of course. But
it's
when you
I
are
think
in a
it's more
boat,
relaxed,
yeah,
it's easy, like it's easier.
yeah, you
Yeah,
can choose where you want to be and when you want to spend your time with people or just be isolated, like on a little island. That's how it
yeah.
felt for me in the beginning, especially with COVID, that you step aboard and you can still go everywhere you want.
Hmm.
You don't have to plan much before. You just have to buy some food so you have food for the road. But yeah, you can just pick like a place to put the anchor down and enjoy
You're in
enjoy the
nature,
life
yeah.
that you want. Yeah.
And sometimes you're just alone. Then you feel like sometimes when you're just alone in an anchor spot, especially like in nature, then you think like, oh, it feels like I'm almost like alone on the world in the
Yeah.
world. But it's
Yeah.
not like that, but it feels sometimes a bit like that.
So
All right. So then
special.
you two decided, okay, let's go. We're going to buy a boat and we're going to live on the boat. And was it like a long search for finding the boat you own now?
It was rather quick because we knew exactly what we wanted.
Yeah.
So we started looking in March 2020,
Yeah.
and by beginning of May, we had
Yeah.
found this boat. Iggy, he was the one going into looking for boats because he knew
Yeah.
exactly
Yeah, he knows. He
about the
knows the technical stuff.
technical.
He knows.
Yeah, he knows all the stuff. Iggy
Yeah,
is a captain on many
yeah,
ships, and so he has a lot of knowledge.
experience. Yeah,
Um, so for him, it was important to know the technical part of it,
yeah,
and for me, it was of course the aesthetic and the
yeah,
comfort.
yeah, yeah. But also, I
So
think also the layout, like how is the boat? Because the layout is not something you change really quick.
no, indeed. So we saw a couple of boats before we found this one.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we visited in person 6 different
Yeah,
boats, and a lot of them that we visited, the galley was always really dark. It was like in a
yeah,
dark corner. There was maybe one or two portholes and
yeah.
not a lot of natural light. And that was something that was very important for me because that's what I
You are
spent
a
a lot
lot
of
of
time.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
in the galley.
And yeah, when we saw this boat, already the lines of hers, like outside when we
Yeah,
started walking towards it, like, wow, this is a beautiful ship. And
yeah.
when we came in and we
So
saw
much light.
all this
Yeah,
natural light that we have, it really was love at first sight. We didn't care so much about how dark it was, like it
oh,
was all wood inside, because we knew we could change that. But
yeah.
the feeling of the natural light wherever we went, that every room, every cabin has a portal and natural light, that it's not just a galley put somewhere in a corner.
Yeah,
That was the important part of it. So it
yeah.
took us
Then it does
two
feel like
months.
closed up.
Yeah, it took
Yeah,
us 2 months to get this boat, and
that's
also the house.
yeah,
It sold very quick. We didn't put our price too high, and that's something that we look back and think, oh, maybe we could have asked more for the house,
yeah.
but we really wanted to get this boat, so
Yeah.
we was like, we're just gonna go for it, and that's it.
Sometimes
That's
when
how it
things are
went.
meant to be, or like meant to be to go that way. And of course when you look back you think, oh, maybe I could do that a bit higher, like the price, or we could have done this better maybe.
Mm,
But I think sometimes things just go really quick, and that's how it's meant to be. Like even with finding your boat that quick, like you had the idea, okay, let's go, we're going to do this. Yeah, that's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I'm really happy that we did it when we did it, because if maybe we waited a month longer, then the boat could have been sold already,
yeah,
and then we couldn't have found something like this, because it was also about finding a place where we can live
Yeah.
comfortably, but also that we can share it with other people. So
Yeah.
it needed to be big enough with
Yeah.
enough private space for
Yeah.
everyone to be comfortable in. And because it's such a wide shape, it really gives you the sense of enough space
Yeah.
to put the furniture that you want, that you need, without feeling that you're cramped inside. So yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, and but I also don't forget, like during COVID, like the whole boating was like exploding because a lot of people thought, you know what, we have to be stuck at home. Let's buy a boat because with a boat you can go out and on the water.
Yeah,
So during that time, especially like especially during April, May, June, that time, a lot of people bought a boat, so it was crazy at that moment. So I think
that's
it
so
was really
true.
good to handle really quick. And also
Yeah,
because we were looking for a boat with the intention of, okay, we want to live on it and we want to run like a floating B&B on it. So then you look different to a boat in your search. You're not like looking for just going away with it for a weekend. So if you
exactly.
live
Yeah.
on it, yeah. So I think
Yeah.
it's really, I think it was a really good time to handle quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Looking back, it really was. And like you say,
Yeah.
during that time, people started buying boats because
A
they
lot.
couldn't
Yeah.
fly somewhere. They had to
Yeah.
stay in Netherlands. So for them, the boat would be, of course, the logical options to spend their summer holidays. And yeah, looking back, I realized that now as well, that we had to be quick. So yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for pointing
Yeah,
that out.
because that I know I remember the time as well because then it was like people were like getting crazy and everyone wanted to boat. But now, like even like one, like I think 2 years after or something, a lot of people were like selling their boat because it was too much work, or yeah, it was
Yeah,
just, like during that time that they enjoyed it.
yeah,
It's really like even when you look back at that time, it's like so different that you think like, oh my gosh, we went through so much during that
yeah,
time. Like sometimes it doesn't feel like it was like that now. It's not even that long ago, but that we went through that time, like all of us.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it
And
feels
it
big.
lasted quite long as well. Yeah, a lot of changes.
Yeah, and how like how did you two like started to dream of like running a floating B&B? Because of course, when you decide like, okay, we want to go and live on board, then that idea came up. I think to run a B&B, or was it always your dream to do something like that?
It was always a trip to have my own bed and breakfast for
Yeah.
sure. I just didn't imagine that it would be on a boat because I never saw myself
Right?
living on a
No.
boat. But when I was open to it, when I did that, so the township adventure,
Yeah.
and I saw what was possible to do with a boat, that you can go anywhere as long as there's water. It
Yeah.
was like, yeah, why not do a B&B as well on a boat? And when we we're looking for the ship that we wanted to buy, we were prioritizing the space, of course,
Yeah.
that everyone would be comfortable with. But the dream of the bed and breakfast, it was always there. It was something that
Yeah.
I always wanted to do. And Iggy, he always said, I'll support you with it, whatever you want to do, if you
Oh,
want to do it in Netherlands or Portugal. And when we started looking for the ship and just, during COVID, thinking about your life goals, what is it that you want to do? Really questioning, like, are we happy with the place we are living? Are we happy with the jobs that we have? Or how is the future going to look like? Because you don't know for how long everything is going to last. And
exactly.
that's
Yeah.
when we started talking about it, like, okay, I'm now happy with my job, but yeah, it's okay, but it could
Hmm.
be great as well. And to start your own business, that's always an adventure of growth,
Yeah.
that you're gonna learn a lot, and especially on a boat, everything is different. Um, so yeah, that was something that we were up to, for the challenge of not only enjoying freedom and traveling, but also to open the business to share it with other
Yeah.
people. That
To
it's
build
such
it.
a unique experience and concept that not a lot of people have access to, because either you go on a very large cruise ship with
Yeah.
hundreds of thousands of people, and then you are in a place with all those people
Yeah.
all
Don't
together.
do the same things.
Yeah, or you get to the high-end yacht luxury cruises where you have the whole ship for yourself.
Yeah, but
But
that's
we
also not
realized,
something everyone can do. So yeah.
exactly, we realized as travelers that we wanted to have something, to create something that's accessible for everyone,
Yeah.
for the normal person who really wants to be on a boat, that wants to have the experience without being surrounded by too many people or having to
Yeah.
pay too much money for something that maybe they not even enjoy. Maybe they just want to have a nice day in a city or two and be okay with that. They don't have to do like a whole week cruise with all these
Other
expensive things
people.
or
Yeah.
anything. So that's the midterm where we created a business that's accessible for everyone to enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
Thank you.
I
Yeah,
think it's really
absolutely.
nice because it's not something you see a lot.
No, no, that's also the thing that maybe that's what makes it so special and also difficult at the same time because
Yeah.
when you're starting a business that everyone else is doing, then you can follow a little bit of the
Yeah.
model, like, okay, what's working for them and what's their market, where are they? But when you're doing what we are doing right now, it's not just a houseboat that you rent, you get a key, and it's a private stay where you
It's a
can
whole
just stay on the
experience.
water. It's all experience, and that's
Mhm.
for us the important thing that people get. You're not just staying on a boat, you're also getting the experience of living on the water
Yeah.
and seeing things from all different perspectives because you're always going to see the sunrise and the sunset on the water, which is
Yeah.
something you don't see from your hotel room or a Airbnb.
You always have
And
the best view.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
even yeah, you're not like with neighbors knocking on your walls on your hotel rooms. So it's definitely a unique experience. Yeah, it's quiet.
Yes. That's really nice. And I'm excited to follow your journey on that. And do you have like the dream to just keep that like, in the Netherlands, or maybe in the future you also go outside of the Netherlands and do the B&B also going? Yeah, I mean it's floating. You can do it everywhere. Do you have like do
Yeah.
you two have like a dream like okay, or we want to like running the B&B in the Netherlands for a while and then go and travel, like making a big journey, and then maybe along the way sometimes we do some B&B if needed, if we wanted, if we're feeling like doing that while being in another country, or is it
We
always?
are we are definitely open for other adventures for sure.
Yeah.
And the dream goal at the moment is to like travel all across Europe. We
Yeah.
want to go everywhere with a boat. Like if we want to live in Paris or Prague and
Yeah,
welcome guests
that's
over
amazing.
there, yeah, guests can always return to us, and most likely they'll get a different experience
Yeah.
as well because we're
Yeah,
gonna
if you
be
have
in
a
different
different view
places.
and surroundings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And I think
Um,
that's really nice. And I think that that's one of the things that's what I really love about yeah, your boat as well is it's really nice for being like also on the rivers. Of course, you can go on sea if you wanted or if needed, but it's really like if you can go through all the channels and stuff like the European waterways. Because
yeah,
then when you buy a boat, you of course have to think about like the size of the boat with the whole the bridges and
yeah,
everything. Yeah, it becomes
exactly.
so
That
much
was something.
with it.
Yeah, that was also something that we, of course, took in consideration that the boat wasn't too tall
Exactly,
uh,
yeah.
to go through certain bridges
Or
because we
too wide,
definitely
or to go into the
exactly.
rocks. Yeah,
So
even
it's
especially in
really
France. Yeah,
yeah, it's
yeah,
really important when you are taking consideration that you want to travel
yeah.
everywhere, especially with guests that you want to have it as diverse as possible, that they can always go
Exactly,
to
yeah.
different spots. And actually, for us, the dream destination with this boat would be Norway. That would
Oh,
be
that would
like
be
the
so
biggest
good.
adventure, like to go to the
Yeah,
Lofoten Islands.
with all the
That would be,
fjords and everything. Oh, that would be so great.
yeah,
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 I think that must be magical. I think the whole like Scandinavia with the boat is, I think it's magical. Like
yeah.
of course the weather is not like full sunny the whole time, but I think it doesn't matter because when you're on the
No,
boat, even like when it's raining, it can be so cozy and you have so much beautiful nature and animals and the water's really clear and yeah, that's
yeah.
nice.
And also the change in scenery, because
Yeah,
you're not traveling by plane or a bus, you're actually going really slow and actually taking in the entire
yeah,
scenery as you travel. And that's what I like the most about the boat life is that it really is slow travel and it forces you to slow down.
exactly.
Yeah, I really love that. And about our travel destinations for ourselves, just to continue as travelers as we are and just do it on the water and
Yeah,
welcome other people, it really is about, for example, go from A to B to C. So if you go from Amsterdam to Bruges or Paris, that
yeah,
people can join us on different stretches of the
yes,
trip. And what we want to do in a couple of years, because right now we're just starting, we are
I
still
know, I know.
studying.
This is just year 1 or 2, like really
Yeah,
going on it.
yeah, we are still studying what we're gonna do and what people actually enjoy doing. But we really want to have this entire itinerary for the season in Europe, in all European
Yeah,
waterways, and people can just choose where they want to join
they
us.
can
So
book
if
in.
they, yeah, yeah, so they
Oh,
can
that's
always come back a year later, or and then join us on a different stretch of the trip. And during the winter, we're not sure yet what we're gonna do,
no.
but we really love going to Portugal in the winter
Yeah,
anyway. So maybe we can just leave the boat for maintenance during the winter and enjoy it during the summer with the
yes.
guests. That's more or less the plan.
Yeah, then you
Yeah.
can do like the winter time in Portugal, and then you're nearby family as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you can just yeah, I think that's perfect. I
Yeah.
see like a lot of people
Well,
sometimes traveling, and they do like indeed the summer times, and in the winter they do something else, and they go back on land. Or if some people that like do the boating on the other side of the world, they do, yes, especially like
yeah.
during the winter time, and in the summer they come back. Sometimes even back on a boat in the Netherlands, and then they live
Yeah.
here, or just on land. But then I think it's nice to have like those diversity. Like you can just choose, yeah, whatever you would like to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I think that's also like a sense of freedom or a feeling of freedom, like choosing how to make, yeah, to fill in your year, like doing the boating with the tours and stuff with guests on board, but also can go to Portugal or maybe not, and you're just going to do the winter on board as well.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think I really love the idea of having everything open, so you can
Yeah.
choose and, yeah, live your life how you want it.
Yeah, exactly. And also about staying in Netherlands right now, it's also because we have family in
Yeah.
Netherlands and we want to stay close to them. So for now,
Mhm.
Netherlands, it's also you also have really beautiful places in Netherlands to show tourists.
Yes,
It's
yeah,
not just Amsterdam. You
no,
can go to so many nice places, and it's really easy to reach a boat anywhere. So yeah, that's what
yeah,
also what we want to discover ourselves, because right now we are still in the area of Amsterdam, Haarlem, Alkmaar, and
yeah.
Leiden, but we
But
also
there's so
like
much
Friesland,
more.
for example. Yeah, Friesland is so peaceful that a lot of people don't know, yeah, how it looks like. They've never been to Friesland, and it's
Yeah.
just so peaceful. So that would be also nice. Or go to, what's the place close to? You guys have been there with all the seafood and the oysters
Oh,
and the mussels.
Zeeland. You say,
Yeah, I
yeah,
really want to go there with a boat, Zeeland. Yeah,
yeah.
I would love that.
It's really nice. I think one of the things I really love about boating is you, like, even in the Netherlands, you experience the Netherlands in another way. So even by boat, when you travel through the Netherlands, like even the nature is evolving. Like it's a different kind of nature of the
Yeah,
people are of course a bit different as well. That's one of the things I experienced. I think I really love that. Like you have like an adventure in own land, but it also meets let you know the country in a different way.
yeah,
Because sometimes,
yeah,
of course, if you don't have the boat, you just, we sometimes say like, okay, with the boat we go to there or there, and then it's like, whoa, it's amazing here. Like even when I go by car, it's like 20-minute drive from our home port, but I wouldn't go there by car. So when
so
with the
true.
boat, it's really nice, and then you like, oh, whoa, I didn't know it was this beautiful. Or yeah, I love it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's one of the
love
things I
it.
really love as well about boating in the Netherlands. And there's so much to see that I haven't seen yet in the Netherlands.
No, and you always find a different route as well, right, with the
Yeah,
boats, because you are really curious about what if this time I go this way and not the other way, and just
exactly.
discover
Yeah,
always new anchor spots and mooring spots. It's really a discovery. Like if you don't just follow the guidebooks where everyone's gonna go, like the famous
yeah,
places, you get off track, then it's like, oh, this is also really nice. And then you
yeah,
start making this list of favorites, like what you are doing on your website. I think that's
yeah.
a really cool thing to share. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, but I also think it's a lot of local knowledge as well, because even when we were in Zeeland, we've been there now 2 summers.
Hmm.
Then you talk to people that are like in the harbor there or the marina, and they are like, oh well, you have to go to there. Well, normally I wouldn't think about going there, and then you go
Yeah.
there, and you're like, whoa, this is beautiful. Or they tell like a hidden spot to anchor, or and it's really nice. I think that's also one of the things I really love about boating through the Netherlands, is that you yeah, you learn a lot about
Yeah,
new places. You meet new people. I think that's one of the things that's really nice.
yeah.
And then we have, okay, we spoke about the boat life, about the beautiful bed and breakfast. And I was thinking, because now we already spoke about it a bit earlier, about like you're also doing like the meal prepping now on board, and yeah, you're now busy with doing that. I want to be want to include people in making meals before they travel, but also like if you don't travel, of course. Um, yeah, let's talk a bit about that.
First,
Yeah.
um,
I'm like, okay, because we just spoke about it. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
what should we talk about now? Because now you're recording it. And I'm like, okay, we just spoke about it.
no worry.
Uh,
Well, what I really like about the meal prep idea that on a boat, specifically on a boat, is when you are about to get ready to travel, you get all your provisions, right? So you don't
yeah,
have to stop in a marina where you are nearby a supermarket,
yeah,
because sometimes you have to walk, I don't know, more than a kilometer to get your groceries. So
yeah,
of course, you're gonna buy your groceries before you're gonna go on a
yeah.
trip.
Provisioning,
And
yeah,
what I like about the meal prep that I do on board for us is that I prepare 3 meals for our trip.
yeah,
So three dinner meals and 3 lunch meals, which are
yeah.
more or less ready for us to enjoy it. So if we are sailing, it's not like one of us is going to be in the galley for an hour and just
No,
seeing the view from a little portal. This
yeah.
way you can actually enjoy the trip
Focus,
together. Yeah,
and you
and
focus
then
on everything you have to do, like just the boating.
exactly. Yeah, also the logs, of course,
Yeah,
and
the log.
you have to pay attention to, yeah, what are you going to stop the next time, which route you're going to take. So with the meals already prepared in advance, it's much easier to just go in the galley and warm it up in 10, 15 minutes in the pan and just serve it on the wheelhouse,
Yeah,
and we have our lunch together instead of one being away in the kitchen for an hour and missing out on the nature, but also conversation, because then it's like, oh, did you see that? And that boat is passing, and you're not
you're like,
talking
which
with each
boat?
other. And even though you're all the time together, right? It's still
Yeah,
like you still want to enjoy the trip together as you are
yeah,
going, because it's always new. You're not going to the same locks or the same bridges or the same towns. So the
exactly.
meal prep makes things a lot easier. Also, when you have like an unexpected event
Yeah,
that,
exactly. Yeah,
let's say bridge is not working, and then you have to go back and then go around somewhere else or find another spot to anchor, and maybe that's going to take a little bit longer. So by the time you are moored or anchored,
yeah,
you'll be
you're
starved.
tired.
And
Yeah,
if I'm starving, I can't think of what I'm going to cook. I'm just going to open the
exactly.
fridge, just eat whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then you get a
Yeah.
bit of hangry, and you feel maybe the adrenaline from
Oh
like
yeah.
the whole thing what happened, and you're like, oh. And now you have like a healthy meal prep, so you can take it out of your fridge and you can just warm it up. I think
Yeah,
that's a really good
exactly.
one. I think a lot of boaters can use those yeah, tips.
Yeah,
And
it's really convenient for sure, and you don't have to complicate it. It's almost like when you go for a picnic and you get in the cars, you have this picnic basket or a thermos bag
yeah,
where you put all your food together. It's pretty much the same concept, that you do have your food already prepared, and whenever you're ready to eat, you just unpack it and you eat it
yeah,
together, and you're still enjoying the trip without the stress of, oh man, now I need to go cook, and now I need to do the dishes, and you don't want to leave the galley all dirty because
yeah. It's a
maybe the
mess, and then
dishes,
everything.
yeah, they're gonna go everywhere, maybe with the wind or whatever.
I don't know. It's
That
flying around. Yeah, no,
thankfully that never happened, but
no.
there was a time that we were crossing the Isomere for the first
Yeah.
time. It was like
Oh, it can be a
the
bumpy
biggest.
road.
It was so windy.
Yeah,
And I have these plants on the boat. And Iggy was like, oh, I don't know about this. I don't know. It's so windy. I was like, but it's just both or five, which is quite windy for the
yeah,
isomere. So
yeah,
we went for maybe 30 minutes.
yeah,
And at some point we're like, no, let's just go back. So we turned
yeah,
around, and thankfully, like the plants, they didn't move place. Everything was still in place. But that gave us a little bit of taste, like, okay, if we're gonna be crossing lakes when it's windy,
Yeah.
everything needs to be organized like all the
Exactly.
time. You
Yeah.
can't just leave dishes laying around or pans because you're gonna run the risk that it's gonna fly somewhere.
But
Yeah,
I think that those are the things you learn by doing. Then you,
yeah,
even though, even when you're just boating and everything will fly around, and you know, like, okay, I have to make sure that can be stuck or locked, and it
yeah.
can fly around. I think it's also like a lot of things, even like having a bit of a sometimes maybe a scary weather situation or anything. Of course, you don't want to have that every week, but I think
Mm,
sometimes those moments you can learn a lot, and also for you and Iggy as a team, like when you're a team on board, um, yeah, you can learn a lot about it. Of course, you don't
so
want to have
true.
those experiences the whole time, but I'd
No, but you
rather
mean
have them not. But sometimes
no.
I'm like, okay, yeah, it's good to have them sometimes, but I'm like, nah.
No, but you definitely learn a lot together, and also as individual, of course, because
Yeah,
you are every time overcoming things that
yeah,
no one prepared you for because you
no,
always live on land. And on a boat, you can't panic. You just have to think of the
yeah,
solution and go for it. You can't be thinking, oh, maybe I'll do this rope a little bit, or maybe I'll put this fender on this side, and then things are changing because it's the wind, it's nature. You
yeah,
can't really predict nature. But to go through those challenges together, it makes it all really fun as well. And of course,
and
there are times
rewarding
that, yeah, and some,
in the
and
end.
there are sometimes that becomes the inevitable discussion, like when the communication is not there, that it
Yeah,
really teaches you how to talk to each other
yeah,
and how to get through the problem together instead of pointing fingers like you didn't do this and you told me this and now it
yeah.
changed. And
No,
it's
that
especially
doesn't
for
help in the
me.
situation.
No, especially for me because I didn't learn boats until 5 years ago.
Yeah,
How to do
Iggy is
mooring
already
and
pro.
exactly. And then I have Vicky telling me these things like I'm supposed to know them.
No,
Like
yeah,
in the
you're like,
beginning we had so many arguments. He was telling
oh,
me, yeah, but you do it like this. Like, yeah, but the last time you told me this way. It's like, yeah, but the
I
wind
don't
is
know.
this way.
I think this is one of the
So
things that a lot of
often.
couples have, especially in the beginning. And I think also, I always call like boat life is like a non-stop team building event,
Yeah.
because for your relationship, it's also the whole communication stuff. Like even in the heat of the moment, you can't point fingers. You have to just
No,
listen to each other, communicate, and of course, when you're in a safe place or there is some peace, you can just talk about it, like, oh,
definitely.
next time we have to go and do it like this, or you have to talk more like this, or maybe you think you said what I had to do it, but that was in your head because I didn't know like what
Yeah,
to do.
yeah.
I think because
So
sometimes
true.
he's like, I told you so. I'm like, no, you don't. You didn't.
No.
In your head, you told me it, but you told me about it in your head, but not like in real.
Yeah.
Uh, no, but I think those are like those learning moments. But also, I think it's a really good thing for your relationship because you really have to work with each other. And of course, some people really, like they hate it, but I'm like, well, it's really good because in the of course in the moments it can be like a heated moment or a little argument, or there also can involve some adrenaline if it's like a
Mhm.
really, I think it's scary situation. But when you're like in a safe place, it can be like so rewarding, and then the dopamine kicks in and you're like so proud of each other and on yourself. So I think it's a whole, sometimes it's a bit of like a roller coaster until
Yeah.
you're like in the safe like in the marina or on your anchor spot. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's nice, but also sometimes challenging. uh
Yeah, but I mean, it's with everything in life, right?
yeah,
If whatever you're gonna choose in your life, it could be something about your job or I don't know, anything. Whenever you travel, there's always something that you're gonna learn from with the person that you're traveling with.
exactly, yeah,
It's just that on a boat, you're responsible for the safety
yeah,
of everyone aboard and your ship because it's also the vessel where you are, and that adds an extra stress factor. But in the end, when you can work together, it's really like, oh yeah, we learned this, and the next
yeah,
time you know how to do better. So you're always growing, and it's a beautiful experience if you're open for it. Because
yeah,
I've seen a lot of people, especially in the logs,
yeah,
that
yeah.
so that this is so stereotypical, and
Yeah,
I'm sorry for bringing
this
this up
is,
right now, but it's so true. I've seen it so many times that a guy, sorry, but it's usually an old guy
yeah,
that's in the back of in the behind the wheel,
Yeah,
And
and
then
then
he's shouting at the woman in the front. She's like, I don't know, 10 meters further. She can't hear him. And the guy just keeps on shouting. And I'm like,
yeah,
oh my God, that would be so stressful for me. And
yeah,
whenever we go through a log, we always talk beforehand. So
yeah,
Iggy stays behind the wheel because I'm still learning how to sail. I still want to take my license as well. Um, but before I go out and do anything with the ropes or the fenders, we decide what we're going to
yeah.
do.
Talk through,
And if
yeah,
something changes, we do have a plan B, like, okay, this is not working, so we're just gonna adapt.
yeah.
But we're not just shouting to each other like
No,
10 meters away. You
no.
have to go there, and why are you not doing that? It's
And
not
they're like
fast enough.
shouting and fighting and
Oh,
calling them
it's
names
so
sometimes.
stressful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really stressful. We had that, well, or both. When I was standing there, I couldn't hear him always really not good because he was on the other side of the boat. So now we have like those headsets.
Oh, that's so
And
handy.
that's really, we always call them the marriage savers because you don't have to shout to each other. You just, yeah, you can talk really, really quietly.
So
Um,
true.
that's really one thing I also always say to people, like, if you want to invest in something, that's a really good one. But also what I also see in boat life a lot of times, like, then the, yeah, sorry, this is also stereotypically, but the man loves the boating, but the woman doesn't love the boating or
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
like it. And then when they have to work together or something, they're like, the woman think, oh gosh, no, and then the man has to do it
Yeah.
almost by himself, and it doesn't work. And that's one of the things I always say, like, doing to people that want to do boat life, especially when they want to like be liveaboards. You both have to be like literally on board with it and just
Yes,
go for it, because if
literally.
one of them it doesn't want it, it's not going to work
Yeah.
in the end. In the beginning, sometimes I see in the beginning it will be fine, but if someone really doesn't like it, it's not going to work in the end, because it's
Yes.
a lot of hard work, not just the boating but also like the boat work and everything that comes with it, because it's not
Yeah.
just a normal lifestyle,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's dedication.
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay,
Do you
yeah,
have any other questions for me?
I don't have any other. Well, we talked a lot before.
Um,
Thank you for the lovely conversation and for,
Thank you.
yeah, enjoy your day. I
And
think
me
the sun is
too.
out again. So
Yeah. It's lovely. It's lovely
yeah, it
today.
is.
Enjoy your day as well.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you so much,
you.
Teddy.
Yes.